Hey everyone, welcome to Data Millennials. I'm Atul, and in this video we are going to discuss the Google Map in Data Studio, and more specifically we are going to discuss about the line map in Data Studio. You might be thinking that why do we need to use line map in our dashboard, but believe me, adding Google line map to your reports give your viewer a familiar interactive environment where they can explore geographic data. Google Map in Data Studio are highly customizable and integratable with any data source that contains valid geofeeds. People usually like map visualization because they are easy to grasp, visually appealing, and entertaining. Maps are widely used to highlight particular regions that are notably or specifically different from other regions, as well as it helps to demonstrate the trend over numerous locations in a single piece of visualization. More specifically, if we talk about line map, then line map can show the intensity of traffic along a specific road, and hence it also finds its use for mobility analysis. So in this tutorial we are going to cover the line map in Data Studio. You can ask that where exactly we can use this line map in our day-to-day job. You can use this line map to understand physical network and flows. So here is a line map that shows the roads in state of New York, and the map is filtered by the route type I, which is interstate roads. The all road dataset contains a linear street features with street types. So what we have done over here is that we have filtered the road type, which is I, which is interstate road, and we have reflected that road network on a map. Now you might be thinking that why it will be useful and how it is useful in our practical work. Now think from a perspective of supply chain, that on a daily basis you have certain cities and you are transporting a number of packages, right? And now you want to know that what is the intensity of package that is going through a particular route. And in order to know that, or if you want to know that which is the most intense route on which we are sending package on a daily basis, so in order to do that we need to use this line map on Google Data Studio. So let me go to the second example that I have created over here, which shows you the path of a particular road and the number of packages that has been delivered through that route. So you can see here this route is I-59, the route name is I-59, and the number of packages is 1,284,000 packages that has been delivered using this route. Okay, before we go ahead and create this line map, I need to show you the data, that how I have extracted this data. So in Google BigQuery you have a table under public dataset for Geo US, and you can basically see this data where there is a whole lot of detail about the geocodes and road ID, their name of each and every route in US. So if you go to your Google BigQuery and use this data set, then you will be able to see this data where you have road geom, which is geocodes for road in a line string. This is latitude and longitude. Then we have a specific road ID, what is the name of this road, what is the route type, and this feature class code column. Now what I have done over here is that for my example I need to actually create two different columns in a query, and I'll show you the query over here. So what I've done here is that I have created a date value using the current date in my Google BigQuery. Then what I've done is that I have created a random number, basically random numeric number, which I will be using as a number of package. Similarly, I have union it, and then I have used the same query for day before yesterday to get the value as day before yesterday. So what I can do is that currently I have data for 22nd October 2022 using this query. Then I have union it for data which I have created for 21st of October 2022, and if you want to add another set of data for day before yesterday, what I can do is that I can simply use this date of current date -2, which will basically create a date value for 20th of October, and then it will create a random value for number of package. Now if I take this entire query and copy it for myself, so that I can show you how I'm adding data over here in Google Data Studio, then what we need to do is that I need to get to edit section first. Then I'll add a page over here. After adding this page, I need to add a data first so that I can put those data into my geo map. So I'll go to resources, click on manage added data sources. Okay, and what I'll do is that I'll remove these two data and now I'm going to add a data source. So I'll select Google BigQuery over here, then I'll go to custom query, and then I'll select my project and I'll write the query over here, the query which I have copied from here. Okay, and then I'll click on add. Now the data has been added over here, you can see, right? Before we add this graph, let's go to our result set over here. Okay, so when you run this query, you will see that you have road geom, road ID, full name, route type, this class feature code, and the date value which we had created over here. This is our custom column which we have created in the query. Then we have the number of package, which is a random numeric value. So if I extend this data set, you will have the same columns over here, right? Now, in order to add the line map, what I need to do is that I need to go to add a chart button. Then under this Google map, you will see you have a last option here that says line map. If I click on it, then Google Data Studio will allow me to add a line map on this empty canvas. Now the next thing what I need to do is that in location part, I need to select the road ID so that I can show you on which road we have how many number of packages that has been transported through that particular route. So this location is nothing but a dimension that determines where the data appears on your map. And you have to note that this field can be of any data type as long as Google Map can basically decode it as a geocode that values appropriately within this Google Data Studio. Now when you have selected this road map, and by default this geospatial data will get automatically selected here, right? And you can see that in our data set, if I go to edit data source, you will see a specific data type called geospatial for this road geom, and you would not have any default aggregation for this data type. Now if I go back, you have your location as road ID and you have your geospatial field which is road geom in your data set, and this geospatial field is a dimension that contains the BigQuery line string data. So this road geom is nothing but this specific column where we have this line string and latitude and longitude, so that Google Map can identify the latitude and longitude and put it into Google Map for us. And when you use a geospatial field, the location field just provide the default tooltip unless you override it with a different tooltip. So for this location road ID which we have used over here will be our tooltip by default. But if you need to add a tooltip, you can click over here and you can select full name. Now when you will go to your Google Map and put your mouse cursor over a particular route, you will be able to see the full name of that road and the road ID also. Now the next option that we have over here is the color dimension. Now this gives you the flexibility to select the categorical colors or the colors for the categorical data. Now for us, we want the color based on the route names, but what we can also do is that we can select over here the number of packages. So this means that wherever the package will be highest, the color will change based on the intensity of the number of packages that has been transported over the routes. Now the next option that we have over here is the thickness. Now this thickness will help you to identify the routes on which there is a heavy transportation of our packages. So we can select number of packages over here so that we can show on which route there is a high intensity of package movement. Now the next option that we have over here is the default date range option. If you want to show your user this specific visualization based on a certain dates, you can select over here the custom option, and then you can choose the dates from here, the start date and the end date. But for us, we have only data for 3 days, which is from 20th of October 2022 to 22nd of October 2022. So we'll put it as auto over here. Now if you want to add a filter in your line map, you can click on this add a filter, and then you can add filter based on your requirement. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add a filter which will show data only for route type I. So what I'll do is that I'll put route filter. Then I just need to put it as include, select a field as route type, and I'll select a condition equal to, then I'll put it over here I in capital, because in my data set you will see that route type I is in capital. So I have selected I over here, and then I'll click on save. So based on your filtration, the Google Map will only show you data for the selected route. Now let me increase the size of this map. So till this point we have given location, geospatial field, tooltip, color dimension, as well as the thickness, right? As you can see over here that we have a lot of different packages for different routes, and we have a number of different colors, right, which will be quite difficult for us to distinguish between different routes which has high intensity of package movement. So let's select the color dimension as the route name, so that for a single route we will have the same color. Okay, now if we go to style section of this line chart, the first option that we have over here is the background layer. This background layer gives you the flexibility to select whether you want to have a satellite view of the map, or you want to select the simple map view which we are seeing over here in our visualization. So if I select this satellite view, you will see that the background of this entire map has changed to the standard Google Map view. But for our example, we will select the map view only as a layer, so that it will be easier for us to show the colors over here on the routes. Now the next option that we have is the style. So by default, Google Data Studio will always select your report theme as silver, where your entire map background will be in silver and your labels will be in black color. So if you want to change it, you can change it to standard, and when you select this standard style of Google Map, you will see that it gives you the similar view as you have in your Google Map, either in your phone or in your desktop. So based on your requirement, you can select the style either silver, standard, dark, or you can, based on your requirement, or if you want to change the background layer of your map to a specific theme, then you can use this edit JSON part. And the last part that we have not discussed is the dark report theme. So if you select dark report theme, you will see that the entire map has changed into black and white, right? So let's keep this dark part. Now the next option that we have is the roads, landmark, and labels. So first talk about roads. As you can see over here, there are multiple routes that is connecting different locations, right? And if you do not want your user to see these connecting roads, then what you can do is that you can minimize this road section, and your user will not see any of the roads except the data points that you have in your raw data or in your data which you are representing on your visualization. Now the next part is the landmarks. So if you zoom into a particular region or a city, there will be multiple landmarks, and if you do not want your user to see the names of those landmarks, you can minimize this landmark also. Now the next option that we have is labels. So if you do not want your user to see these states names, for example Georgia, Alabama, if you don't want your user to see these names, you can minimize this label option, and then these labels name will disappear from the map. But for us, we'll keep these labels as well as we'll keep these roads also. Now if we move down, we have this layer type. So currently we are using this line map in this example. So Google Data Studio has by default selected this line map here. But suppose if you want to change after creating a geochart and you want to change it to field area or heat map, then you can use these field area, bubble map, or heat map from here, or change your visualization based on your requirement from here. But for us, we'll keep it as line map. Then we have this option of line map layer. maximum number of line verticals. So this basically allows you to increase or set the number of line verticals in the map. Now if you want to increase it, you can increase it. So you have a set number of line verticals that Google Data Studio can support right now. So you have only 2 options, and based on your requirement you can select it. Now the next option is this intensity, and this intensity adjusts the range of the colors in the line map. So if you increase it, the intensity will be increased to the highest, and if you decrease it, then you will see that the intensity of the colors that is present over here in the map will decrease. So let me decrease this one. And you can see the intensity of these routes, the entire routes has changed to the minimum. So let me increase this one so that our map can be visible properly. So after this intensity section, we have this opacity, and if you want to change the opacity of your Google map, you can select opacity from 0 to 100%, but by default Google Data Studio will always select it 100%. Now the next option that we have is the managed dimension value color using this color option. Now if you want to change the color based on a particular value, then you can come over here and select the dimension colors manually, but I would not recommend you to do that, because if you have millions of rows and millions of data, then you won't be able to change the colors. So what we have done over here is that we have selected the color option, color dimension, based on road's name. That's why we have selected this color dimension as full name, so that for each and every route we will have a specific color. Now if I go to style, then you have this map controls. So we have 6 different map control over here. The first map control is allow pan and zoom. If you select this button, then you will be able to see that you have this zoom in and zoom out option, where your user can click on this plus to zoom in and this minus to zoom out of a particular area or region. So this show zoom control is by default get selected when you select this allow pan and zoom. Now if I unselect this, then you will see that the zoom control will disappear. So it's always recommended to select this zoom control when you have selected this allow pan and zoom. Now the next is that show street view control. So if you select this street view control, then this segment will allow your user to see a street view for whichever region the Google map is showing street view on Google Maps. The next option that we have is the show full screen control. If you select this, then in the right hand side of this map you will have this full screen toggle button, and if you click on it, then this entire map will be shown in your full screen. Now the next option that we have is the show map type control. If you click this, then in the extreme left hand side of this map you will have an option to select either the satellite view or the map view. The last option that we have is the scale control option. This scale control option will allow your users to see how much zoom in or zoom out they have done on the map. Now the next option that we have is a thickness legend. So currently our position is bottom and alignment is left. So if you want to change this to top or right or left, you can select from here. So if I select top, then you will see that the legend has moved to the top hand side, right? And if you want to change the alignment from left to right, you can do it from over here. Now the next option that we have over here is show legend title, and if you uncheck this, then number of packages written over here will be disappeared. So it's always recommended to select this show legend title. Now the next option that we have is the legend font color. If you want to change the font of these legends, you can basically select from here and change the font colors. Then you have this font size as well as these font family. Based on your requirement, you can select the font size from here and font family from here. Now as you can see over here, we have the number of packages, right? If the number of packages will increase on day-to-day basis, then it will be quite tough for anybody to read it, right? So if you want to change these numbers into a compact number, you can select this button and then these numbers will be compacted. As well as when you click on view and go to your map and you put cursor over a particular route, then you will be able to see these numbers in a compacted form. Then we have this decimal precision. So as the number of packages cannot be in decimal, so we'll keep it at 0. Okay. Now we have this color legend. This color legend helps you to change the position of these legends, which is in the bottom. Now if you want this to be on the top, you can select it from here, and the alignment based on your requirement, you can select it from left to right, and the maximum number of lines. So currently we have one line only, so even if I select one, it won't change a lot. Now if you have multiple legends that can go up to 3 row or 4 row, then you can select this maximum number of lines till 5. So if I select 4, then if you have your data that can go till 4 line of the legends, then you will see that the legends will be coming over here in 4 different lines. Now you have an option here which says that show legend title. If you do not want to show the legend title, then you can uncheck this button, and then these legend font color, if you want to change it, you can change it from here. This is the font size. If you want to change the font size of a legend, then you can change it from here, as well as the font style from here. Similarly, if you have numbers in your legend and you want to put your numbers in the compact form, you can check this button, as well as the decimal precision. If you want to decrease it or increase it based on your requirement, you can increase or decrease your legend's numbers decimal point. Now the next option that we have is the background and border. Now if you want to change the border beneath this map, then you can select the border color over here. So let's select this yellow color for example, and you will see that the background of this map beneath the layer of this map has changed. Now if you want to increase the border radius, you can increase it from here. Then this opacity will basically increase or decrease the opacity of this entire map. You can select it from here if you want to change it. Now the next option that we have is the border color. If you want to change the border color, you can select from here, as well as the border weight. So let's select border weight as 4. And if you want to change the border style, you can select border style out of these 4 options that we have: dotted, double, dash, and solid. So by default, Google Data Studio will always select solid. So let's change it to dotted. And if you want to add a border shadow, then you can select this button. The last option that we have over here is the chart header. Now if you want your user to show the chart header, you can select this always show, and if you do not want to show the chart header, you can select this do not show. So let's go to our view section and see how does this map looks. As you can see, if I go and put my mouse cursor over a particular route, you will get the route name which we have selected. Then we have the full name which we have selected as the tooltip, and the number of package, which is the metric value. So your user can go and put their mouse over multiple routes and see what is the number of packages that has been transported through those routes. And based on the number of packages, you can see the intensity of these routes. Now the last thing that I want to do over here is this, that I want to add a section which will allow user to filter for a particular date. So we have data for 3 dates, right? From 20th of October till 22nd of October. So if I go to my edit section, and you will see that we have date range dimension, where by default Google Data Studio have selected this date value, and if there is any date column in your data, then Google Data Studio will select it by default. Now what I need to do is that I need to add a control as a drop down list, okay, and I need to change it to date field. Okay, so this is a control field which will allow the user to select a particular date and see the intensity of package transportation throughout the route. So if I select this particular date, for example, if I select 20th of October, then based on a certain number of date, your entire map visual will change, and this entire route color will change based on the number of packages that has been transported through that route. So this is how basically you create a line map in Google Data Studio. Happy learning and see you in the next video.